What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about two different cryptos in this video today. We'll be talking about Zcash and Zora. Zcash first, then Zora, just in order of market cap value there. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, you guys. It is the 21st day of October, and here we are for Zcash, sitting at about $274 right now. 5 days and 11 hours left in this week. We are moving up a little bit today, and I do believe that we are going to progress to new relative highs. However, I think that we are soon to see a more longer-term phase of consolidation, right? We had our pullback below $200, came back down to 186. I don't know if we go below that low for the rest of the cycle, but I do believe after we move up higher, we will probably have some bearish divergence that will likely take us to lower prices. However, first, 275, I think that we are going higher to prices above $300. Let's go over that real quick. So looking at this on a 1 hour time frame, 1 hour time frame here, volume's coming in a little bit as we're moving up higher. You can see the RSI is predominantly bullish, right? We're living above the 50, not really living below the 50. You're getting overbought, you're not getting oversold. I think you look good here, right? Bounced a little double bottom there at the 40, the same area that you bounced from before. You found turbulence at this area before, support back here. It just makes sense that you found support there, and you're moving up with more volume than you were moving down. I think that we are going to move higher today. Today we're going to move higher. The MACD is bouncing off the zero. That's good. You've actually just crossed green on the 1 hour there, and the stochastics are bullish as well. Looking at the 4 hour time frame here, you do have an overbought reading here, and when you move higher, you get this higher high, you will have a lower high in the RSI, so that will promote bearish divergence. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we saw this bearish divergence go away and we actually had a higher high. People are going to assume that this is bearish divergence, that we're going to top off right here, and then boom, then we break through, we get a higher high. As soon as we get that, that's whenever we move down, and then we continue to move higher. Or if I'm wrong, maybe the bearish divergence does play out, we make a move down, but that's it. That's the move from the bearish divergence there. We clear out that divergence between these two highs, and then we still move up higher, providing a higher low and moving up higher overall. If we see something like that, the RSI would likely come down lower. We'd get lower lows in the RSI with higher lows in the price. Hidden bullish divergence marks continuation, and the indicator here, the RSI, would just be more cooled off. So I think if you want to see continuation rather immediately, what needs to happen, I think, is just, I mean, obviously you have to move higher, but we need a break. We need to get a 4 hour to close above $291. We need that, because if not, I would assume then that we do have this bearish divergence between these 2 points play out, and maybe the move up to new relative highs, instead of it coming in, today or tomorrow, maybe we get that, going into the end of the week instead. But still, I would still believe that we do see new relative highs one way or another. Looking at the stochastics, things are bullish. The MACD just crossed above the zero. I mean, we've got a lot of positive things going on here, and I think that we will move higher. Bitcoin has likely found its low. Bitcoin's also likely not just found its low, but found its higher low today, and we're likely moving higher as well. So I think Zcash will get a positive bump from that. Looking at the daily time frame here, zooming out, this is where my expectation of this next move up being the high, the relative high, before we consolidate for some time. I would assume that we do, probably going into the end of this month, we pump, and then going into the beginning of November, and maybe even into the midpoint of November, we might consolidate for about a month. This was a nice little phase of consolidation here. This was a nice little phase of consolidation here, but I think after this next move up, we're going to see something that's more pronounced, okay? Not anything that's like this, where we just move sideways for a year or 2 years. Nothing like this, okay? But something that's just a little bit more pronounced as far as consolidation goes. And then we can move up going into the end of November, maybe even December. I think Zcash will be put on pause for a second, but we'll see. You never know. Sometimes cryptos really do. They just move up. They defy gravity, man. So sometimes that happens, and we can go over what that looks like too. But looking at the daily time frame here, you do have bearish divergence, right? You've got a high point here and a lower high there. You've got lower highs with high point here and higher highs, okay? You move up here. If you get a higher high than what we have here, that would be double bearish divergence, right? You've got another higher high there and another lower high in the RSI. If you have double bearish divergence, it's a pretty powerful signal, and again, that might promote an extended period of consolidation there. Typically, where the divergence starts, which is all the way back here, you would expect to move down to about 130. 150, 160, something like that. And it's possible to see that. I don't think that we're going to move that low. I don't think Zcash is going to give people an opportunity to do that. But if we're looking at this overall, let's just say on the weekly time frame real quick, we take a high to low here. You see that you stopped in this zone here. You're probably going to move up to the area of about $350. So let's assume you move up to 350. I have a hard time imagining that you move to 350, 400, something in this area here, and then you pull all the way back down to 130. I have a hard time imagining that you do that. It's not that it can't happen. We've seen in the middle of bull markets, we've seen cryptos move down 68% and then move back up, but a multi-billion-dollar coin, I don't see that happening. Especially with all the hype that's around it, I don't see that happening. So while yes, we will provide another drive of bearish divergence here in the RSI, I don't think that it's going to provide prices down here at 160 or lower like we had previously assumed. Okay, but we did go below $200 there. Stochastics have bearish divergence, and the MACD as well is getting set up for bearish divergence if and when we do see new highs. And again, going off of the Fibonacci extensions that we have, I think anything between about $350 to $500 is really something that's applicable for a next high destination. My assumption is if we go up to 525, if we go up to this level, then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we don't see any kind of major consolidation. We really are just on a parabolic move up. Or if I'm right, we'll probably stop around 350 to 400, something in this zone here, just above this line. And then we should see some continued effort for consolidation. Maybe at the lowest we go to like 160, but I would think that we hold this area of like $200 to $260. We probably hold that area as support, consolidate, and then going into the later parts of November, we'll probably break out and move higher. If not, sometime in December, that'd be the expectation there. So Zcash looking frisky right now. If I'm right, we move up. We will have a lack in volume in comparison to these moves here, and that will likely cause us to consolidate a little bit more, right? We probably do go back down around this low, if not even below this low, but I think the lowest we'd go to is $160, right? At least we would pull back to something that's around like $220 there, $260, something like that. If there's a lack in volume. If we move up and there's more volume and we're moving up higher, we're moving up more pronounced than I thought we would, and we move up like to $500 or more, and we have more volume coming in, perhaps we do maintain this kind of method of short-term, week-by-week consolidations and then eruptive moves that just continue to push us higher until we get to a more significant level in the fibs, which instead of these extensions might have to be off of these extensions here. Let's see. High to low. And I mean, in all fairness, let's talk about this. Again, I said we talk about higher prices. In all fairness, you did bounce right off your 786, and this type of behavior is typically what you see when you expect to go to your extended areas. So when I say we could go higher, I mean like not just $500, not just $600, but we could be in the midst of a move that takes us up to $800 to $1,400. And overall, I think that's what we're in right now. We are in the midst of that move that's going to take us up to this area here. I just think we will consolidate more before doing that. I mean, it's pretty odd to just rip through the roof and not find any kind of turbulence at all. And I know we found turbulence over the past week, but that's not what I mean. But we'll see. We'll see. If I'm right, we shouldn't really break too far above $400 or at all, something around here, around this high is where we should find some turbulence. If I'm wrong, we very well could just continue up to $877. If we move up to $500 or more, we're probably pushing on to $800 to $1,400 before we see any kind of real consolidation, okay? So that's Zcash. Ultimately, I do believe Zcash will be worth multiple thousands of dollars by the end of the cycle. It could be worth as much as $5,000 by the end of the cycle or more. Very bullish on Zcash, especially at the moment. I'm very bullish on Zcash here. So let's move on. Let's talk about Zora here, Z-O-R-A. Zora, we're going to give it a bit of a different tune than Zcash got, right? Zcash is like we're moving up right now. Zora, I don't think is moving up right now, though it has been impressive. We did announce on X.com, I made a post that we bought some Zora down at this level here. We were talking about it. I made a video literally at the low, and I was like, this is the low. Mark my words. We're going to come right back up the next day. We've been very accurate with Zora lately, okay? And each time we've seen these wicks up here, even if the price has been up here, I've said, no, we're probably going to move down. I'm doing the same thing now. I don't think that we're ready to break out. I think that we are consolidating still, and we likely will see prices. You know, as I said back here when we were at these highs, I still think that we will see prices below 8 cents. I'm surprised that we haven't yet. I must admit that it's being resilient, and maybe we don't. Maybe we don't see prices below 8 cents. Maybe we just continue to consolidate, and then inevitably we break out higher. But I have a feeling that we will probably see a little bit more consolidation. We'll see how it goes. I mean, you just got listed on Robinhood. It's a very big exchange, and typically big exchange listings actually promote selling pressure. I know that that's what it might have been what caused us to pump. Robinhood's listed like 5 other cryptos since, or maybe 3 other cryptos since it listed Zora, and those cryptos did not pump. So I don't know if that was Robinhood listing that caused us pump, or if it's something else that's bigger, that's more of a big deal for Zora, that's why it's pumping. But looking at this here, you know, we didn't have any of that insider information. We just saw the charts. We could see that things were suggesting that we were going to turn around here and that we were ready to break out. So we made a play off of that. 10.6 or 10.06 cents right now. You had a nice bullish engulfing candle yesterday. Let's look at the short-term stuff and see what you're doing, because again, this is the highest daily close that you've had in this range. This is the highest daily close was yesterday that you've seen since August, and that was also below average. That was like subpar volume. Okay, so that tells me that we're probably not going to be moving up. We probably move down. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we did see some kind of a shakeout to the downside before we moved higher. In fact, low to high. I mean, yeah, I think we do go below 8 cents one more time before we move higher. If not, at least to something around like 8.1 cents, but right above 8 cents, if not below 8 cents. Anyways, 1 hour time frame, zooming in here. Zooming in, looking at this again, you know, you're moving up, volume's coming in, you're moving up again, you're getting higher highs, and volume's dying off. Makes me think you're going to come down. 1 hour RSI, bearish divergence there. Nice uptrend though. Overall, very bullish RSI. Stochastics are bullishly trending as well, but they're kind of ugly. I don't like the rejection off the overbought zone. That suggests that we go lower. And the MACD does have bearish divergence as well. So bearish divergence really on all 3 indicators here, suggestive of lower price action to come. We'll see. And we're getting some of that now. 4 hour time frame here. You're just getting weaker and weaker in your RSI. Now, overall, you're very powerful. Overall, this is a very strong, healthy-looking RSI, but you're just getting lower highs, right? You went from getting overbought to rejecting the overbought, so now you can't even get up there. You're rejecting the 65. You're putting up a fight. You definitely don't want to go down. And the way you look right now, it's not pretty, but it almost looks like an ascending triangle, right? It almost looks like that, right? I'm not drawing it the best, but you can kind of see what I'm going for, right? It's almost like this ascending triangle here. Maybe you break out to the upside. Maybe I'll eat these words, and this call will age like sour milk. But I really do expect that we're going to see prices below this level here, and at the lows here. That's 8.5 cents. I'm calling for something at 8 cents. It would make sense to me, right? Because when you break out of this, you're probably not just going to break a little bit and then go back up. You're probably going to break a good bit, go below 8 cents, right? That'd be my expectation. Just because I expect it doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen, though. Stochastics rejecting the overbought zone as well. MACD, I will say the MACD is probably the most bullish case here on the 4 hour, because that is a nice look. That's actually a really nice look there, and this typically would promote continuation. Do we have an example of this? I mean, it worked out the only other time that I can see here. I don't know. The MACD is the one thing, right? Only because the stochastics, even though they rejected the overbought zone, even though the RSI is rejecting the same area, they are overall bullish. The MACD is the one thing making me second guess myself here, but sticking with the decay in volume, the decay in strength here, the rejection of the overbought zone, sticking with that, I think that it makes sense that we come down. Okay, so Zora probably comes down. If we're looking at this from a relative low to a relative high, the expectation is that we go down to the 382, and typically with the 382 you expect a little bit of a wick below there too, so $0.81 or probably even just below 8 cents there, and then we turn around. Could we go lower? Could we go all the way back down to the golden ratio down at 6.3 cents? Yes, it's possible. It's very possible, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. But yes, it is very possible. Let's see. The daily time frame here. Daily RSI is immaculate, but again, You're getting overbought and then rejecting and slowly coming down here. What I like is you have higher lows and then you have lower lows in the RSI. That's nice. I just don't like the lack of volume, right? And as you consolidate in any consolidation range, right? You consolidate, you're moving through it. The volume should die down. It should as it happens. Then you break out, you choose a side. That's when the volume comes in. I don't think that we're going to break out of this to the downside. I just think that we're going to break this level here and we're going to come down. Overall, we're in this kind of odd, and it's oddly shaped now. It'll be oddly shaped when we leave it, but this oddly shaped consolidation phase. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you what, you can prove that I'm wrong if we don't go below this this level here, right? Let's look at the 4-hour time frame. It might be more obvious. If we don't go below this level, if you like hold this trend line more or less, and you went a little bit below there, so let's shave it down a little bit more. If you don't go below 0.088, if you don't go below 8.8 cents, then I'm wrong. If you hold that as support and you move back up here, I could very well be wrong, guys, because the volume is dying off. We are at a point where you could be breaking out to the upside. But if we do go below 0.088, then I'm likely right. Likely we do go below 8 cents, or at least somewhere around there, okay? Enough talk about the downside. Let's talk about the upside. Zora has a lot of growth to go. Stochastics look odd here. They actually seem bullish in my opinion. The MACD looks bullish too. A little bit of bearish divergence though, in all fairness. I guess you have bearish divergence on the RSI and the stochastics and the MACD. But overall, we're very, very bullish. Weekly time frame zooming out here. Zora is a very new coin. It's a very new project. And I think that we have a lot of potential with this thing, man. This thing's got, what kind of market cap is it? It's like a $400-something million market cap. Anybody else checking out Eclipse? I don't know why, but I feel like I've just seen that all over X recently. They're funny. I like their posts on X.com. They're pretty funny. Very low market cap too, 15 million. Zora, $450 million market cap. A 100x from here would put you at a $45 billion market cap. That doesn't mean that we're going to get a 100x, but $45 billion, it's a lot of money, but it's achievable, especially for cryptos that like take the lead in the altcoin pumps, alt season, bull market rallies. I mean, Zora's taking the lead right now. It's very possible that we could see a 100x, in which, you know, a 100x from here would be at about $10, right? That's a 100x price. It's about $10. You know, there's no fibs that really line up with that. The closest fibs are to the downside and to the upside. So I think that at a good minimum, $4.20. That's a good like 42x from here. I think that's a good minimum to expect by the end of the cycle. $15 puts you at about a $60 billion market cap, $70 billion market cap. That's on the high end of expectations, but it can happen. It can happen. We've seen cryptos in their first bull market achieve those kind of valuations, so it's possible. Something between $4 and $15 is probably going to happen here for Zora by the end of the cycle. I wouldn't be surprised if we found psychological resistance at $10, giving us a perfect 100x from here. But time will tell. You know, it's certainly possible that you could stop at lower levels, right? There's nothing wrong with stopping at lower levels, but I don't see a scenario where Zora stops at anything less than like $2.20. Anything less than that just doesn't seem appropriate. And really, I think that we'd break away from that. So the only suitable next target area is 420 or higher. So 42x or more by the end of the cycle. That's the expectation for Zora here. We've got some very high prices to consider. And over the coming weeks, probably by the end of the year, I would anticipate that we see something around, you know, we're at 10 cents now. I would anticipate that we see something around, probably around $1. Something between 75 cents to $1.17. I wouldn't be surprised if we were around there by the end of the year, genuinely, for Zora. Massive growth in a very short amount of time, you guys. I got nothing else for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Zora or Zcash, which one's going to perform better? I don't know, man. They both, honestly, they both have 100x potential. Zcash might be one of the only cryptos in the top 20, or sorry, the top 50 that has 100x potential. And that put it at a $450 billion market cap, but this thing's been around for a while. I mean, it doesn't deserve that market cap, and maybe it does. I don't know. You know, it's worthy of that market cap, I should say. We'll see. I don't think Zcash will 100x. I do think Zora has a more probabilistic outcome of seeing 100x, or of seeing a 100. It has a higher probability of seeing a 100x outcome. I can't talk this morning, you guys. But Zcash is likely going to end with the higher market cap overall. So I got nothing else. Hit the like button, subscribe, take care of yourselves. All right, bye-bye.